Sucker Punch working with samurais for Ghost of Tsushima makes perfect sense. I need a drink. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and for those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Raf, although on YouTube I like using the name Metatron, and I'm a YouTuber who specializes in samurai history, ancient Rome and medieval times, and also I do talk about video games that talk about these things. Now normally in my videos I don't give out my credentials that much because I don't like feeling that I don't like people thinking that I'm full of myself or arrogant, but I'd like to underline for this video, and I think it is important for me to do it, I'd like to underline that I have university training. I went to university, I have a university degree in Far Eastern languages, cultures and history. So I have received academic training, I have studied at university the things I talk about, namely in this case samurai history, and therefore I'm not just an enthusiast, but I'm also qualified to talk about these things. Currently, apart from being a YouTuber, I'm also a school teacher, a language expert, and I work directly for the European Fund of University and Research. Now on this video we're talking about the game Ghost of Tsushima, but most importantly we're actually talking about Sucker Punch Studio and some statements they have made through, I think it was Twitter, where they actually made some statements that are absolute, complete, total nonsense. Now I'd like to underline that I am a fan of the game, okay? I've already talked about the game on a different separate video, talked about the trailer very positively. So it's not like I'm attacking the studio, but I'm attacking some business choices, marketing choices I think they are, and some absolute utter lies that they told. So let's read them together. Now if you try doing a little Google research and you write Sucker Punch or Ghost of Tsushima and you pair it with the word samurai, then a flood of articles in many languages, because I checked both English and Italian, my native tongue, and you will find loads of articles that say the same nonsense. And you will find lots of articles such as this one: Sucker Punch is working with real samurai for Ghost of Tsushima. Now we are reading from Screen Rant, just one of many, and it says, in order to bring authenticity to Ghost of Tsushima, an action-adventure game set in 13th century Japan, Sucker Punch Productions has recruited real-life samurai to help with their research. The game focuses on a samurai called Jin, blah blah blah. Now, does this statement make sense? Absolutely not. Why? Because samurai don't exist. In 2018, there are no samurai. There haven't been for almost 150 years. Now, of course, you could ask, why should we believe you? Just a random YouTuber, yeah, you claim to be a teacher, blah, 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 but as far as we know, you could be just a fisherman, and why should we not believe a team that reported allegedly is doing a lot of deep research? That's what they're saying. We're going to have a look at this in a moment. They're doing deep research on samurai history to create a almost historically, sort of, well, historically inspired video game, so probably they know what they're talking about. Well, you don't have to believe me. I am going to read from actual academic books, history books, and I will provide all the links and bibliography in the description below, so you don't have to believe me. But for now, let's start by saying the samurai class does not exist anymore. So the statement that they're working and they're recruited real samurai is absolute bull. Now this is not the only article, let's read from another one. Sucker Punch working with samurai for Ghost of Tsushima makes perfect sense. No, it doesn't, because samurai don't exist. Now one of the reasons why PS4 has a huge fan base is because of the exclusive games that land on it. Very true. Games like God of War, very good game, The Last of Us, love it, and the upcoming game Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch is working on. It's not just those games, it is the fact that the studios of these games have always had worked on a whole new level in making such games. Like the recently discovered fact, that's what they say is, that the devs have been working hand in hand with a real samurai for Ghost of Tsushima. Just recently Sucker Punch took to its Twitter account and posted a picture in which we can see two samurai warriors. No, you cannot see two samurai warriors, and this is from SN News. There are loads of articles like this. Now I could continue reading, but I think you get the point I'm drawing. Clearly another thing that you could ask is, are you sure this is not just a problem with people writing the articles? Perhaps the Sucker Punch studio was misunderstood. But here's the thing. All of this flood of articles sprouted from a statement made on Twitter by the very studio. There are quite a few, but I'm going to read some of them to you. For example, just recently Sucker Punch took to its Twitter account and posted a picture in which we can see two samurai warriors. No, you cannot. Alongside, they share the enthusiasm that it has been a true honor for the studio to work with legit Japanese samurais. Let's read the statements themselves. They say, this is Sucker Punch Twitter account. It was our honor to be visited by 2 legit Japanese samurais last week. Now, again, let's not get defensive, okay? Again, I love the studio, I love the work they're doing, but these are the people who made Infamous series. These people are pros, okay? So they know what they're doing here. This is twitting false information. So again, if these people are not samurai, then who the heck are they, and why are they there? From Screen Rant we read, no one knows more about one-on-one samurai combat than actual samurai. Given. So Sucker Punch invited Kuwami Masakumo and Ide Ryusetsu from the Tenshin Ryu Dojo, there you go, to offer them guidance on bringing traditional fighting styles to life in the game. Now, what's wrong with this section here? The part where they have invited Koryu practitioners, Kenjutsu practitioners, actual sword masters, incidentally from Japan, but even if they were Kenjutsu practitioners from another country, if they are Kenjutsu masters, they are Kenjutsu masters anyways, but anyways. The fact that they invited them to offer their guidance to create a more believable and a realistic fighting style in the game, I think it's an amazing thing, don't get me wrong. I think it's great that they invited these true great people, but stop calling them samurai, because they're not samurai. It's like saying that a Hima practitioner of a longsword is a medieval knight. No, he's a Hima practitioner, sword master, but he's not a medieval knight, because guess what? Medieval knights in full plate armor don't exist anymore, and neither do the samurai. So it doesn't matter the style, it can be Katori Shinto-ryu, it can be in this Ryu here, it can be Jigen-ryu. These people are sword masters, they are not samurai. Now, there are only 2 possible things that are happening here as to why these people, the Sucker Punch production, decided to twit such lies. First possibility, they actually don't know. They have no idea whatsoever what they are talking about when they use the word samurai. Now that in itself implies again a lie, because they said that they're doing deep historical research on the samurai. So if you're doing deep historical research on the samurai, you know that the samurai don't exist anymore. I mean, when you study something at university and let's say that you know nothing about the samurai and you start doing your proper studies, deep research, then what do? First time you see definition of the word samurai, perhaps the etymological origin of the word in Japanese, and then you want to know when it starts and when it ends, if it does. The fact that you don't know that the samurai don't exist anymore, it tells me that you have done no research, so the fact that you're saying you're doing research is a lie. Now, personally, I don't think they don't know. I think they do, because it would be incredible not to know something like this for someone who allegedly studies samurai and Japanese history. So, the second possibility is that you know the samurai don't exist and you are lying on purpose. Why? Well, sensationalism and marketing. Because, of course, if you write on Twitter that you're working with Kenjutsu practitioners, but a lot of people don't know what Kenjutsu means. If you say that you're working with Koryu practitioners, a lot of people don't understand that word. And if you say sword masters, well, it's very generic. But if you say that you're working with real Japanese samurai, then everybody in the main public, the masses, they know immediately what a samurai is, at least in their heads, even if they don't know the actual historical characteristics. Samurai is a word that now exists. It's not even only Japanese anymore, it's just the word we use in all languages to refer to Japanese feudal warriors or warrior class. Now, of course, some people could come and tell me, but you're just overreacting. People know that the samurai don't exist and they're just using a word because it sounds fancy. No. You know samurai don't actually exist, possibly because you click on this video and I suppose you like samurai. Maybe you have studied and you know your things, your stuff. But you have no idea the amount of people who contacted me and the amount of friends even who contacted me and told me, hey, the Sucker, Ghost of Tsushima Sucker Punch, they're working with real samurai, that is so cool. Because they don't know better. I'm not against them. Of course, I try to correct them, because it's like when, if you like pizza and a new kind of pizza comes out, of course, all your friends are going to send you all the articles dealing with that pizza, because they know you like it. So you can imagine how many times I got linked to these articles, and I've got friends who told me, hey, look, new samurai, they're working with samurai, and I told them, no, it's impossible because samurai class doesn't exist. And the answer to that was, link to the article, That's what they are saying. It's not true, it's misinformation, it's a big deal. And as a teacher I say, do not misinform. If it's a mistake, fine, people make mistakes. I make mistakes myself. I mean, I made 717 videos. I can't have been right in all of them. I must have said something that was wrong, and then I rectified it, and I said publicly that I stood corrected. Making a mistake is not a problem, but willfully spreading misinformation is wrong. And I don't know who is lying. I'm not saying that all the people who are working on this project and all the devs are liars. I'm not saying this, but someone is lying, because it's either they really ignore completely the very basic facts on samurai, which would mean that this is not an actual lie, because poor guy, he didn't know, but it means that when they said that they're doing deep historical research, and then that would be the lie. Or they know that the samurai class doesn't exist, and so they are lying to create sensationalism and to get more sales, which I think is really bad, and it's wrong towards people like me and like my audience, because we are supporting you, we love your project, we believe in it, and you don't need to spread misinformation to get extra sales. Now let me prove to you that the samurai class doesn't exist, thus rendering this statement false. Now, the samurai class doesn't exist because it was abolished at the end of the 19th century. Why was it abolished? It was abolished because of the Meiji Restoration. It was one of the results of the Meiji Restoration. I'm not here to talk extensively of the Meiji Restoration. I might make a video about it, but the Meiji Restoration was a very important restoration because it had economical repercussions, social repercussions, military organizational repercussions. But most importantly, in our discussion today, it brought to pass a new social structure called functional egalitarianism. Now, functional egalitarianism is a school of thought that prioritizes all equality among all people. Okay, now this is the very antithesis of the concept of samurai. The concept of the samurai, the warrior class, the elite echelons of warrior society of feudal Japan, and functional egalitarianism are mutually exclusive. The reason being is that many people don't understand, they don't realize that being samurai is not a job. It's not your occupation. It's your social class. Okay, it's social status, depending on what era we are talking about in feudal Japan. It's either you are a samurai, you were born samurai, or you can never be one, or in some other occasions you can become a samurai after military service, as for example as an ashigaru you could be promoted. And then in other eras of Japan you also have the concept of land samurai, the concept of half samurai. I don't want to confuse you. Suffice to say that being samurai is a social class, not a job. So you can have a samurai whose job is being a gunner. And when I say gun, I'm talking about matchlock type arquebus of the late 16th century. So you can have a samurai he is samurai, that's his social class, and his job is being a gunner. You might have another person who is also a samurai, but his job is doing something else. Perhaps he's a scout, or perhaps he's dealing with intelligence. And you know what people dealing with intelligence and secrecy in ancient Japan were called. They are shinobi. So you can have a person who is a social class, samurai, job, shinobi. That's absolutely fine, because being a shinobi is not a social class, it's a job, and being samurai is a social class, is not a job. So these two things can coincide differently from what a lot of people think. Now that does not mean that all historical ninjas, if you want to use a more recent term, were samurai, but definitely some were. Now, let's read about the Charter Oath, so you can have actual direct, not just my words. The Charter Oath, promulgated at the enthrallment of Emperor Meiji of Japan on the 7th of April 1868, includes several parts that identify the reasons for the radical social restructure that followed the Meiji Restoration, and an indication of the motivations for the dissolution of the warrior class that had been a defining characteristic of Japanese society. 1. Deliberative assemblies shall be widely convoked, and all matters of state shall be decided by public discussion. That's not how it was back in the day. Back in the day it was the emperor or the shogun, after the Bakufu was established, they decide and the people accept. Full stop. It's the warrior class that chooses. Now it's public discussion. 2. All classes, high and low, shall unite in vigorously promoting the economy and welfare of the nation. Now this means the end of the warring class. 4. Base customs of the past shall be abandoned. Again, that includes the samurai. And all actions shall conform to the principles of the international justice. During the summer of 1869, Tokyo formally reclassified the population as nobles, former samurai, and commoners. In 1867, ex-warriors were deprived the right to carry swords. These steps to dissolve the military state coincided with the establishment of a conscript army based on the Prussian and French models. Vice Minister of Military Affairs Yamagata had seen the efficacy of these armies firsthand in Europe and in 1873 enacted a conscription ordinance. By this innovation, the rulers and the ruled will be put on the same basis. The rights of the people will be equal and the way will be cleared for the unity of soldiers and peasant. Okay, so having read this, we have established the samurai class does not exist anymore. So these people are not samurai, they are not real samurai, they are not samurai warriors, they are practitioners of martial arts that of course derive from samurai combat. And I myself love kenjutsu and koryu styles, but they are not samurai. So I think it's amazing that they're working with them, but do not spread misinformation. So, am I against Sucker Punch Studio? No, I still think the video game is going to be amazing, but I think you should retweet. You should retweet and say, sorry for the misnomer, sorry, whatever, say whatever you want, talk to your marketing specialists, but you should say, we're working with kenjutsu practitioners, with sword masters from Japan, they are not samurai, we apologize for using the wrong word. I think you owe that to your fan base, which includes me. And then if you do this, then we will support you through to the end. We will get your game, we will play it, I will show it to people, I will recommend it to my friends if you do a good job, and I think you are doing a good job. But this sort of sensationalism, it needs to stop. Alright, number ones, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Let me know, what do you think of this game? Do you think the game Ghost of Tsushima is a good game? And do you think the fact that they are hiring actual sword experts is going to make a big difference in the end result of the game and the combat system? Well, let me know in the comments below. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.